Abram's call and migration. The Lord said to Abram, "Go forth from your hand, from your land, your relatives, and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you." Oh, I read that one. Abram and Lot part. See, I read that one too, I think. No, I think I was on this one here. All four kings. When Amphiraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goyim, made war on Bera, king of Sodom, Birsha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar. All the latter kings joined forces in the valley of Siddim, that is the Salt Sea. For 12 years they had served Chedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Chedorlaomer and the kings allied with him came and defeated the Rephaim and Ashtaroth, Karnaim, the Zozim, and Ham, the Emim, and Shevet, Karathiim, and the Horites, and the hill country of Seir, as far as El Paran. Close by the wilderness. They then turned back and came to En Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and they subdued the whole country of both the Amalekites and the Amorites, who lived in Hazazon Tamar. Thereupon the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar, marched out, and in the valley of Siddim they went into battle against them, against Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goyim, Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of bitumen pits. And as the king of Sodom and the king of Gomorrah fled, they fell into these, while the rest fled to the mountains. The victors seized all the possessions and food supplies of Sodom and Gomorrah. Then they went their way. They took with them Abram's nephew, Lot, who had been living in Sodom, as well as his possessions, and departed. A survivor came and brought the news to Abram, the Hebrew, who was camping at the oak of Mamre. The Amorite, a kinsman of Eshcol and Anerthes, were allies of Abram. When Abram heard that his kinsman had been captured, he mustered 318 of his retainers, born in his house, and went in pursuit as far as Dan. He and his servants deployed against them at night, defeated them, and pursued them as far as Hobah, which is north of Damascus. He recovered all the possessions. He also recovered his kinsman, Lot, and his possessions, along with the woman and the other people. When Abram returned from his defeat of Chedorlaomer and the kings who were allied with him, the king of Sodom went out to greet him in the valley of Shaveh, that is the king's valley. Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was a priest of God Most High. He blessed Abram with these words: Blessed be Abram, by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth. Blessed be God Most High, who delivered your foes into your hand. Then Abram gave him a tenth of everything. The king of Sodom said to Abram, Give me the captives, the goods you may keep. But Abram replied to the king of Sodom, I have sworn to the Lord, God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I would not take so much as a thread or a sandal strap from anything that is yours, so that you cannot say I made Abram rich. Nothing for me except what my servants have consumed, and the share that is due to the men who went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their share. The covenant with Abram. Some time afterward, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Do not fear, Abram. I am your shield. I will make your reward very great. But Abram said, Lord, God, what can you give me? If I die childless and have only a servant of my household, Eliezer of Damascus. Abram continued, Look, you have given me no offspring, so a servant of my household will be my hire. Then the word of the Lord came to him. No, that one will not be your hire. Your own offspring will be your hire. He took him outside and said, Look up at the sky and count the stars if you can. Just so, he added, will your descendants be. Abraham put his faith in the Lord, who attributed it to him as an act of righteousness. He then said to him, I am the Lord who brought you from the Chaldeans to give you this land as a possession. Lord God, he asked, how will I know that I will possess it? He answered him, bring me a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. He brought him all these, split them in two, and placed each half opposite the other. But the birds he did not cut up. Birds of prey swooped down on the carcasses, but Abraham scared them away. As the sun was about to set, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and a great dark dread descended upon him. The Lord said to Abram, know for certain that your descendants will reside as aliens in a land not their own, where they shall be enslaved and oppressed for 400 years. But I will bring judgment on the nation they must serve, and after this they will go out with great wealth. You, however, will go to your ancestors in peace. You will be buried at a ripe old age. In the 4th generation, your descendants will return here, but the wickedness of the Amorites is not yet complete. When the sun had set and it was dark, there appeared a smoking firepot and a flaming torch, which passed between these pieces. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, to your descendants I give this land on the Wadi of Egypt, to the great river, the Euphrates, the land of the Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. Birth of Ishmael. Abram's wife, Sarai, had borne him no children. Now she had an Egyptian maidservant named Hagar. Sarai said to Abram, the Lord has kept me from bearing children. Have intercourse with my maid. Perhaps I will have sons through her. Abram obeyed Sarai. Thus after Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, his wife Sarai took her maid Hagar the Egyptian and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. He had intercourse with her. She became pregnant. soon as Hagar knew she was pregnant, her mistress lost stature in her eyes. So Sarai said to Abram, "This outrage against me is your fault. I myself gave my maid to your embrace, but ever since she knew she was pregnant, I have lost stature in her eyes. May the Lord decide between you and me." Abram told Sarai, "Your maid is in your power. Do to her what you regard as right." Sarai then mistreated her so much that Hagar ran away from her. The Lord's angel found her by a spring in the wilderness, the spring on the road to Shear, and he asked Hagar, maid of Sarai, "Where have you come from, and where are you going?" She answered, "I am running away from my mistress Sarai." But the Lord's angel told her, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her authority. I will make your descendants so numerous," added the Lord's angel, "that they will be too many to count." Then the Lord's angel said to her, "You are now pregnant and shall bear a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heeded your affliction. He shall be a wild ass of a man, his hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him. Alongside all his kindred shall he encamp." To the Lord who spoke to her, she gave a name, saying, "You are God who sees me." She meant, "Have I really seen God and remained alive after he saw me?" That is why the well is called Bir Lahai. It is between Kadesh and Bered. Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram named the son whom Hagar bore him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael.